So for many decades, I would say at least 2 full decades, 20 years, I lived in a relationship as a Christian in name with God, in which God was to me a means to an end of trying to find healing in a for something where that only he could provide that healing. He became a means to the end to find a healing through a material gain. Like God was to me a tool to use to find an arrival at an outcome external to God himself, where I was going to find peace and healing to my internal brokenness through some material outcome. The reality is God himself is the ultimate outcome. That satisfaction and healing to everything that ails our hearts are found in him. He is the source of your identity, of your acceptance, of your peace, of your joy, of your future, of your promise. And I didn't realize that. I heard a gospel that says God is the source of my forgiveness. He's the source of dying and knowing that I'm not going to hell. But he wasn't the God of the healing of everything that ailed me. So I wasn't wholly to blame. I just heard a message and responded to a message that was a selfish message in and of itself. It was a selfish message that God came to forgive you and save you from heaven, and he can also do amazing things for you. So you come into Christianity through that message, you're still living at a deficit. You don't see Jesus as the ultimate outcome of complete wholeness and satisfaction, peace, joy, identity, happiness, a destiny, an empowerment to fulfill that destiny. And so for me, the brokenness stemmed back to a childhood experience where my material possessions, my things, were stolen from me from a young age. Every weekend I would go to my father's with my own personal belongings, and my image was ripped from my soul every weekend, because every week I went, something was tampered with, messed with, stolen, or sabotaged. And I would get home, because I would go to my dad's on the weekends, I'd go back to my mother's at the end of the week, and I would go through my personal belongings, and I would find something in my bag that was broken, stolen, ripped, torn. It just my material things, which is an extension of me, were being destroyed. And it wrecked me internally, my internal image. I grew up with this internal image of worthlessness. How would it make you feel if every day, every weekend of your life, growing up from the time you were a kid, 5 years old, to a high school teenager, you would go somewhere over the weekend knowing that something was going to be stolen from you, and that the image that was born out of that is, how would you feel? What do you think would materialize as a form of self-image or a sense of worth? And you're too afraid to say anything. You didn't know the source of your pain because you couldn't see it. You couldn't identify an enemy. But over time you realize who it is, what is the source. You know it's an evil source, but you're at that point, your image is so low, your voice has been so suppressed that you don't have strength, you don't have courage. You're in fear. And so growing up, that was the source of my pain, the source of my brokenness, the place where I needed healing the greatest, that not even God in my early days of becoming a Christian was looked at as a source of the healing of that. I didn't even understand that it was an attack on my image or my identity. So when I heard God is a God who forgives me, obviously I took it as, well, from a broken identity, I'd completely sinned and done many horrible things against man, against God. And so I saw forgiveness as a forgiveness of sins, but I didn't see it as a restoral of my broken image. So I'm just responding to the message I heard about Jesus. He came to forgive my sins. Great. So that's what God was limited to through Jesus, was the forgiveness of sins. But now I need God to help me get healed from this material issue. My stuff was stolen, so now I need to go get stuff. That was the way I was going to get healed from it. I'll get the stuff that was stolen restored. See how that works? I was using God as a means to get restoral of the things that were stolen from me as a young person, but God said no. I'm not a God who's to be used for your outcome to find healing. I'm the God who is the outcome. I'm the God who is your healing. So now I get to live from the outcome. I'm a whole, healed son of God, and I'm coming to you to give a message of salvation that is an ultimate outcome for you, that you no longer, through Jesus, have to live a life that is for anything. He is the ultimate arrival place where you're saved, you're forgiven, you're healed, you're accepted. Now it's time to live from the ultimate outcome. Now you can be a seed sower, a child of God, sent to proclaim the awesome nature of his love for all humanity. But it starts with you. You must accept his love for you, and the ultimate outcome is that in his love for you, you find complete wholeness and assurance of your future, of your present, and that knowing your past, present, and future is under the blood, you are forgiven of all. God bless. We're just going to keep coming. This is who I am, a servant of God, a royal servant who just keeps coming with the message of grace. It is the power of God unto salvation, and there's nothing greater. So there's nothing else. What greater thing could I do than to keep these messages coming? God bless you. Thanks for investing and choosing wisely with your time to invest it in the hearing of the gospel. God so loved you that he gave his son, that when you turn your belief to him, you will stop perishing. You will find eternal life. This is eternal life, that I might know him. Eternal life is not tomorrow, it's today. Today, that you might know him. That's eternal life, according to the Bible. John 17, verse 3. This is eternal life, that you might know him, which is enter relationship with heaven, with the Father, with your Father in heaven. And that's where it begins. That's where it just begins, at that point. Because now that you can know him through Jesus, you can know who you are exactly. And once you know exactly who you are, you can now move on to the execution of your destiny. And there's a whole matrix. Starts with your identity, it ends with destiny. But identity brings about worth. Worth brings about standards. Standards, actions, and actions repeated over time. The world needs to see destiny is revealed through God's kids. God bless you.